In this video, we are going to learn how to calculate mean, median, mode, range, variance, and standard deviation. So we're going to work with the same data set for all of these calculations. So to start out with, when you are asked to calculate the mean, it is a type of average, and so you're going to take the sum of all the data values divided by how many there are. And so what I did is I took these data values and in a calculator I added them up, and so you can see that my total was 344. And then if you count them, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 values. And so again, you can then get on a calculator and notice here, when I did 344 divided by 11, I ended up with an average or a mean average of 31.27, depending on how many decimal places that they ask you for. Now, in order to calculate the median, you have to arrange the values in order. And so, doesn't matter whether it's highest to lowest, but they do have to be in order. So it does look like, let's see, that 19 would be my smallest. And then I've got a 23, a 25, two 26s, two 31s, a 32, a 41, 44, and 46. Okay, and so median refers to the middle value of an ordered list. So you have to put them in order. And then you're just going to find the middle value. So I take one off the bottom end, one off the top, one off the bottom, one off the top, bottom, top, and I'm going to keep doing that until I either arrive at a single middle value, like I did in this case, or if you had an even number of values, you would arrive at two middle values. And in that case, if there are two middle values, you take the average of the two in order to calculate your median. So in this case, my median is a 31. Okay, for the mode refers to which one occurs the most. So you have to have things occurring more than others in a data set. And if we look here, we notice that 26 occurred twice, and so did 31. And so in this case, we're going to call that bimodal, meaning there are two modes. Unimodal would say you only had one mode, so there's one number that occurs more than others. If none of them occur more than others, then you have no mode. If you've got more than two, you can have more than two, but two would be bimodal. Okay, so then for range, with range, we're going to take your highest value and subtract our lowest. So in this case, my highest value was 46, and if I subtract my lowest, which was 19, then I have a range of 27. Okay, for variance and standard deviation, we have to know the difference between whether we're calculating the variance and standard deviation of a population or whether it is for a sample. And so in our case, they just gave us this complete set of data and they were asking for the standard deviation, so we're going to calculate the population standard deviation. If they told you that for some reason your set of data is a sample from a larger set, then you would use the formula for a sample standard deviation. Okay, so in order to do this formula, you do have to first calculate the mean, which we did in our very first step, and we had found 31.27. Now, according to this formula, we're going to take each of our, what they're calling x values. So I'm just going to make a table down here. Doesn't matter the order. 23, 46, 19, 25, 41, 26, 26, 32, 31, 31, and 44. And so notice in parentheses here, we're going to take each of those values and we're going to subtract the mean. And so by all means, get on a calculator. So I'm going to do that. So for example, I've got 23 minus 31.27, and then I'm going to put that value there. And I'm not going to write the rest of those. I'm just going to go ahead and do that part and come back to the video. Okay, so I went in, and in each case I took the x value from my list. I subtracted my, I was trying to get a highlighter here. I took the x value from the list, and I subtracted my average, which was 31.27, and then that left me with the difference. Okay, so then in the next column, what we're going to do is we're going to square that difference. So notice the power, it says to square that difference. So we're taking these differences and we're going to square them. So on my calculator, I'm going to take negative 8.27 and square it, which I guess as you were punching it out, you could have squared it right away instead of coming back now and having to punch them out again. But again, I'm going to pause the video and get them all punched out. Okay, so now I have taken all of the differences that were here in this second column, and I have squared them. Notice when you square them, whether they're positive or negative, you get a positive number. And so now this part of the formula, that's a symbol that says add them all up. So I'm going to get on my calculator and I'm going to add all of those values up. All right, and so when I added them up, I came up with a total of 788.15. Now if you look at the formula, notice it says divide by n. N is the number of original elements in your set, and we had 11, so we're going to divide that by n. So 788.15 divided by 11, and that gives me 71.65. Now, that is known as your variance. So that is known as your variance. To get to the standard deviation, notice that the formula shows you that you're going to take the square root of that answer. So when I say what is my standard deviation, in this case it is the square root of the 71.65. So I'm going to square root that on my calculator. And I get a standard deviation that would be 8.46. And again, you have to pay attention to how many decimal places they're going to want on your answer.